Hey guys, so just out here in one of my all-time favorite places in the world. It's Point Judith in Rhode Island in America. So I've been home visiting family and friends after doing some work with the client out here. And something I want to share that I've been really focused on in the past few weeks now. But first, a little story to have it make sense. So when I was little, I used to come out here in the ocean all the time with my dad, my family. My dad had a powerboat. We were big into powerboating when I was young. And I even had one of those little rubber rafts, like inflatable boats. And on the back I had an outboard motor. And it was a big thing in powerboating to, how big is everybody's motor? I had a 5 horsepower motor, and one of the friends of the family had an 8 horsepower motor. So I always wanted to have his motor because it was bigger, it was faster. And when we'd see boats out in the water, my dad would point out, that's 200 horsepower, 500 horsepower. Wow, look at that one. And so I got really this sense of like power, and the more powerful boats could go faster, and that was more cool, and that was better. And that's really a metaphor that I lived a lot of my life, like consciously, like more power is better. More power means I can go faster, I can do more, I can make more money, I can achieve more things. That's just a metaphor that ran in my mind, a function that ran in my mind. And of course, it's something that I've taught. I've taught people, and in my coaching and in my own businesses, like, have more motivation, more power, and more achievement. And yet, when I'm honest and I think back to the times in my life where I was most fulfilled, where I was most passionate, if I'm really honest, it didn't feel like I was really doing much at all. It didn't feel like I was driving anything. It didn't feel like I had any horsepower in my motor. It more felt like I was being carried. And so I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and now being out here at home and getting out in the water again and seeing the boats and stuff, I remember something else. Is that when I was young and I used to go out in the boats, we used to see sailors. And sailors and powerboaters, it's interesting because there's a sort of camaraderie between the two in that they're both from the nautical world. They're both out in the water, port, starboard, cleats, tying knots, all that stuff. It's the same for powerboats and sailors. Yet at the same time, there's also this kind of like unspoken, soft, almost dissent between the two groups. It's like powerboaters think they're better. Sailors just kind of look at the powerboaters like something they're crazy. And of course, we're always being powerboaters. I got one perspective as a kid growing up, and that was like, I remember my dad saying, I don't get why they go on these sailboats. They can, they just sit there in the water. There's no wind. They just sit there. It takes them all day we can go in a half hour to Block Island, whatever. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But on the inside, I always had a little bit of curiosity. I always felt like they knew something that we didn't know. I never talked about it or really even thought about that, but I always kind of had this sense. And I swear, lately I've become enamored with the idea of sailing. And the reason is because looking at how I've lived my life and the times that things are the most awesome, it's like I'm not powerboating, I'm sailing. And I say that because it's like the thing that's moving me when I'm most passionate, most fulfilled, and achieving the most even, most high achieving, creating a lot of success, creating money, whatever it is. It's like I'm being carried. It's like there's a wind, and it's just blowing me forward. Now, that's just a pretty little idea, right? But there's an important thing inside that too. Like the thing with sailboaters, like you don't just sit there and let some inspiration or some wind carry you along. You still have to do stuff. You have to get in the boat. You have to put the sail up, pull the right ropes at the right time. And so I know this stuff now because my 13-year-old niece, I say niece because she's so young, my cousin Kaylee took me out and taught me how to sail this weekend. That was the point I made when I came home to learn, and she did an awesome job teaching me to sail. And so I know a little bit now about sailing. I don't know much yet. But you still have work to do. You still have to get in the boat. You still have to pull the sails up. You have to rig the sails. You have to till the rudder just the right way. And if you don't do it well, you're not going to catch the wind. There may be wind, but you won't catch it and you won't go anywhere. But if you do it right, that feeling of being pulled by the wind in the boat is the exact same feeling that I have when I'm creating something that's coming through that passion or that fulfillment, that wind is coming through me. Now, where does this wind come from? That's a story and an idea for a completely another video. That's not the point of this right now. The point is that there are moments of inspiration or creativity that you feel, and most of the time we shrug them off and we say that's not productive, that's not part of my plan. Plans are like the death of this kind of stuff. And I need to be focused on power and driving it from my conscious mind, power boating. I need to be power boating. That's the way to have success. But shit, man, power boats run out of gas. They do. Yeah, the wind dies down, but it's not yours. You don't have to worry about generating it. You just have to know that you have to get in the boat, and that when there's wind, raise your sails, till the rudder, go with it. On a pragmatic sense, in my day-to-day, I have shifted my whole way of being. I mean, I'm a pretty productive guy as it is, but I've shifted. I have no more to-do lists. I have no more action lists. I don't even put actions in my calendar. I simply carve time out in my day to get in my sailboat. I have a few different boats. I have my creativity boat, I have my client work boat, whatever it is. Carve time out, get in the boat, and when there's wind, raise the sails. And when there's not, what can you do? What can you do? But I'll tell you what, if you live by the wind, it will carry you all the way around the world, and it feels fucking amazing. So I'm learning to sail, and I would love to see you learn with me. Much love, guys.